What's up? How we doing,
Oh,
Berto?
CG in the house. What's up?
What's
Hey,
up?
there he is.
There we go.
There
we go. There's our guy. All right, let's start this thing off. Here we go. You guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, cool.
Devin King.
What's up,
hey,
guys?
Devin, your video. You posted a little video of you, Devin. It blew up on TikTok.
What's up, guys? John Sintes, Cutternation Podcast. Pretty excited about this one. We got the main guys. We've been fighting to get these guys on here. Just wanted to throw
battle.
out, I appreciate everybody following us up to this point. We are continuing to grow. We always have big plans, plenty of things in the pipeline coming up in the future. But also, I just want to throw out, we just launched this glove series, the JS1. It has 4 different webs. If you haven't seen it on our online store at all, please go check it out. We're very excited about it. It's only $250. This is probably the best thing that we've done for a while. And I'm just a big fan. It's designed to go 2 in the pinky hole, skip the index hole. For pitchers that need to have a bigger pocket, you should always have that. So check this out on the website. Thank you very much. The other thing you could do for us is subscribe to our podcast channel. It would really help us on podcast and on YouTube. You can find all this information on our website. Berto, I think
not you. Hold on 1 second. Not you, Devin G. Devin King. Trick or Trey. Theo Trey, what's up?
Berto, I think you're getting feedback. You may have to play the mute button when you're not throwing. Can you hit your mute button on yours real quick? Erick, can you try yours? Yeah, I think it might be Erick.
I think it's E.
Yeah, that's better. E, so I don't think your headphones are all the way in, E, so we're good there. So E, you're just going to have to play back and forth. So there we go. We got the sound in. Nobody wants to hear feedback from that.
Cody
right
Watson,
so we're chilling.
baby. I'll be in Boston soon, Cody. Let's do it.
All right, so let's get this started off. So first of all, Brad, Berto, Erick, Lopez, main trainers here at Cutternation. I really appreciate you guys, all your effort and work to continue to grow the brand and the company. But today I wanted to get into some fun stuff so people can see your personality, your history. Brad, you're pretty famous, especially in the San Diego area. You've accomplished some fun things in your life. And I wanted for people to understand where you are in your training and, what your career is going on with right now. You and I met, it's been maybe like a year and a half or so, right?
2019, actually. The Moneyball tournament was when we first met.
Oh, that's right.
Crazy.
2019, that right? So we're going on 3 years maybe.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I remember meeting you then. That was great. But, since then we've really evolved. You've really taken our hitting side of our facility and ran with it. I'm pretty proud that I've been able to throw out some these ideas, these strategies on training hitters with you. And you and I really, really see a lot of the same thing. So, what I'd like to start off with an easy question is what's your favorite part about hitting at Cutternation?
Oh, the live ABs. Come on now. The live at bats. That's the first reason why I came here. When I got done with college, I was looking for more professional training, the next level of training, right? And, a lot of hitting training is all let's fix your swing, let's improve your swing. But it's not really about that, especially when you get to a certain point. Yeah, your swing plays, whatever. But if you have a swing that's good enough, all right, now what's the next thing, right? Because a lot of times, when you get into the games and the reason why you mess up or the reason why you're missing balls, the reason why you're getting out, most of the time it doesn't have to do with your swing. It's really on the approach, what you're swinging at, the type of swing you're taking, on time, being able to hit off a live arm and stuff like that. Just regular batting practice, 40-mile-an-hour batting practice doesn't really do that for you. Or just making adjustments in your swing doesn't really, tell the whole picture or just cover everything when it comes to hitting training. So it's once your hitting comes to a point to where it's good enough, then all right, what's the next level? It's all right, being able to hit off a live arm, being able to hit off some velo, being able to hit different pitches in different locations, and kind of knowing what the pitcher's throwing, knowing your plan really more. So that's why we talk about the hitters is everyone's all worried about, what's the pitcher going to throw next? Yeah, and that's fine and great. But when it comes into the box, it's you got to worry about what you're doing. And that's what I tell hitters all the time. It's they get out and they start guessing. I'm well, don't guess. Really, yeah, you can have an idea, right, an educated guess. But in reality, you kind of really have no idea what the hell he's going to throw, especially when you face a pitcher like John, who's got 5-6 different pitches, and he can throw whatever pitch, whenever, any count. Doesn't really matter. So it's all right, good luck guessing. right? So it's more about seeing the ball, reacting, having a swing, having a plan that you can stick to, right? And focusing on what you're doing and not really worrying about what the pitcher's trying to do. There's a time and place for that, but when you focus on you and what you're trying to do, you definitely see the ball better, take better swings, and give yourself a better chance to catch more barrels. So
right,
that's what
I love that. I agree. That's our one-on-one, battle that
Sueños,
you and I
baby.
always talk about. You know what I mean? So with the live at bats, we've had some different scenarios with our live at bats. We've been inside, we've been outside, and you've probably done it with data or no data, right?
Mm-hmm.
The data that we have here, how does it enhance the process for, especially like live at bats? We're running all kinds of data, right? We're running hit tracks, we're running TrackMan, we're running Yellow Jacket to verify spin rates, and so it's like a digital baseball game, right? So where do you see that on your side?
Well, definitely exit velo is definitely the main one in terms of hitters, right? Yeah, it's great. In BP, see your exit velo go up, and with your sessions, watch your average exit velo go up to see how consistently you're catching barrels. But then in the live at bats, it's like, okay, did I catch that, right? And then like kind of where you're at, being able to, like, obviously the harder you hit it, the better chance you have of getting a hit, being safe, right? Obviously, the harder you hit it, the more chances you have of hitting it further. Distance goes up as exit velo goes up too. But it's just a great measuring tool on how well you're catching barrels, and that's really the main focus as hitters is catching barrels. Most of the time, we have no control over where the ball goes, right? And I tell all hitters all the time, like, if we control where the ball goes, right, we'd be hitting it over the fence every single time. But that's not the case, right? So it's just trying to hit it hard, get your best swing off, swing at good pitches, right, and really getting your A swing off. And then, if you hit 195 plus, right, 100 miles an hour, that you hit it good, right? Or where your misses are at. Say you make an adjustment, right? Say you make some kind of swing adjustment, approach adjustment, whatever it is, and your misses end up better, like, oh, I just missed that, right? But the average exit velo is going up, right? That means it's doing better. You're getting stronger. You're catching more barrels. Swing's getting better. You're swinging at better pitches. All kinds of things to measure like your progress as a hitter.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The hit tracks, you brought up a good point there. Like, can you do the exit velo that you do in BP in a real game? That would be where I would see, do you translate your training? And in theory, right, ball's coming in harder, you should be able to catch it and hit it harder than you would, in a game. I'm pretty sure Giancarlo Stanton isn't hitting 118 mile an hour home runs in batting practice. You know what I mean? Like, there's a little bit different idea. Well, maybe, right?
Maybe.
God forbid MLB live stream the batting practice round with the TrackMan data from the stadium, so we can all enjoy that and actually understand, what actually these guys are doing. Like, we see slow motion video all the time, but like, do you know of anybody that would be teaching John Carlos' setup or his approach?
I have no idea, really. Like, I don't know if anyone's really teaching, like, to be, like, that close to the stand, stuff like that. And people always, like, ask, like, especially with kids and stuff like that, like, oh, they're standing this way, should be standing this way. And, like, always, like, some kids start to have a closed stance, and stuff like that. And the parents kind of ask, like, oh, is that okay? I'm like, well, Stanton does it, Altuve does it, right? There's videos of people with different stances and stuff like that, and like the way they're hitting the ball, right? They're getting the same result. Like, one of my favorite ones is this video of, I think it was Kike Hernandez and Jose Altuve, right? They get the same pitch, same spot, right? Altuve lands super closed. Kike lands super open, but they both hit bombs to left field on the same pitch, same spot, right? So who's right? Really? Doesn't matter. It went over the fence. Who cares?
Right. Exactly. 100%. We talk about it all the time. Like, mechanics are a certain form of, like, what is important to get some form of consistency of what going, but it's like, it's not everything. You know what I mean?
Not everything.
Like,
Definitely not everything.
You got to square the ball up. There's so many other things factors that go into it,
Yeah. Both on the pitching side and on the hitting side. It's like, once you get into the game, like, the mechanics you have is what you're rocking with. So why think about mechanical issues when that ball's coming in at 95 miles an hour, right?
Right.
Or you have to just execute a pitch, right? You have to just execute a pitch, like all these things, like, all right, execute this pitch. All right, see the ball hit the ball, right? If you hit it hard or if you land for a hit, who cares? You got it done. Who cares?
100%. 100%. All right, my guy, Erick Lopez, the man, the myth, the legend. So you guys that don't know Erick has been with us for a little while. Erick trained with me first, right? And then my guy right here really was able to, Berto, Berto, can you try muting yours and see if the feedback goes away on Erick? Or it might be Erick, I'm not sure. Oh, you are? Okay, cool. Anyway, let me get back to it. So my guy Erick right here. Erick, first of all, for the internet that don't know you, right? Can I get a height and weight? I feel like you're the same
height and
size
weight.
you were in college.
5'9". I think I played pretty much my entire collegiate career at like 138, like 135. So like right now I'm a little bit heavier because I haven't, played or done anything. So I think I'm a little bit heavier now. I mean, I hope so, but pretty much 5'9", like sub 140. So it doesn't matter.
140. Those 88.
Yeah. So
pull down
Erick,
97.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Let's get into the throwing stats right here. Let's let the internet be upset about this.
So I think my max velo that I topped out at was like 91, 92. I did play a summer up in Sacramento. They didn't have any radars or anything like that, but that was probably one of the best summers that I've ever had, at least like throwing wise. I ended up winning like pitcher of the week out there for like a week where I pitched like, I think it was 8 innings, like no runs, no walks. I think I gave up or got like 7 strikeouts, all relief appearances. So it was just like there, I was probably at my best, but yeah, 97 on pull downs. Took me a while to get there, but it got there with a little bit of help. But other than that, grew up in San Diego pretty much my entire life. Went to Mission Bay High School, played at Mesa College, and then now I'm here.
So you've seen the growth of the pitching side because that's really where we started with this, and then when we got over to this spot, we added the hitting side. You've seen a lot of the different things and the techniques and and the things that we talk about in the training, different modalities, right? What's been your favorite part for where you've seen things have grown?
I think you mentioned it earlier with the whole like data aspect of like what we have now and being able to put like the numbers to the motions and things like that, and like what we're actually practicing and if it's paying off or if it's actually working. So I think being able to back it up now with numbers is definitely the part that I've seen grow a lot and that I like a lot about what we do now.
So we have a TrackMan unit, right? We
Yes.
use it every day, multiple times a day. That TrackMan unit, it converts and does the live AB mode too. It pretty much stays on our pitching side for what we're doing. As you've been working with guys, what's been your favorite aspect of that translating to a pitcher?
I think the spin and then the speed is probably like when you like are able to like really utilize like your whole body and like being able to like sequence things correctly and being able to, like with a little bit of tweaking, being able to throw it for a strike and then still being able to get those numbers that you would like when you're doing run guns or something like that, where like you're pulling down 97, but you're only like 80 on the mound. So it's like being able to bridge that gap a little bit is being able to like kind of use the TrackMan to show you where your release height is, or like show you where your spin is at, or like the spin efficiency, or like the vertical break or horizontal break, trying to be able to get those numbers to like, certain spots for certain guys and then being able to maximize it.
Yeah, it's been a really fun tool. We really are fortunate to be able to have one of those units that not only does it track the session, it tracks the history of the guy that's throwing with us in the place. I mean, we can really see the progress over months. You mentioned the spin, right? So we do a lot of breaking balls are pretty much every pitcher's favorite. I believe so. Some of the guys like Jordan Green that spin it at 2,500 on their fastball. It's interesting to me that their breaking balls are almost less sometimes. When you're working with a guy and you're trying to get them to increase spin, right? Do you feel like it's a little bit more pressure? Do you feel like it's release? Where do you feel like that you can enhance something for someone?
Well, it honestly depends on the player, like, or the athlete. Like, it'll be certain things for certain players, but then different for somebody else, just because their efficiencies are in different parts of their motion. So it's like one kid could be really good at, landing strong on their front foot, whereas like another person has a weak front side, but like they're on the ball, like they're spinning it, but they just can't hold it. So like their weight isn't able to transfer, and then like you're not going to get your numbers that you usually see when you do a run and gun and you like stick your front side and you really try to throw the ball hard. Is being able to match those motions. Like I said, being able to bridge that gap is just going to make it so like it's not going to be the same for every person. So like you might tell somebody to like hold on to the ball a little bit like longer for certain feels on pitches, or like squeeze the ball a little bit through your pads or your fingers or something like that. But just being able to give them like little, here and there on certain guys is pretty nice with the TrackMan.
Yeah, and then we get to see whether it goes up or down depending on what we're trying to do with the spin rate, right? And
or like spin efficiency or things like that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. You have some fun cues that really I feel like resonate with a lot of the kids, and I'm gonna bring one of them up. It's the change-up one, and so what I really like about this is like the idea of a pitch is a word, and you and I always talk about like we hate words, right? Like words aren't necessarily the idea. Like most kids think they're throwing a curveball and they're running a slider, or vice versa, right?
It doesn't matter.
The change-up, right? The change-up is one of the funny things, and we talk about different cues, and everybody has different ideas. But I just want you to you literally tell kids this, and I just find it hilarious. But in order to create side spin, like what we're trying to get with the change-up, you tell them,
"Slap your mama."
It makes me giggle every time. Now, for you guys, Eric, explain what slap your mama means.
Slap your mama is from very iconic movie. Me and Berto know it pretty well. Next Friday, I think it's Friday after next or something like that. But it's Jones Brothers Barbecue, and it was like the little infomercial, and it was like Craig's dad like tastes so good, make you want to slap your mama, and then he just like smacks her in the face.
So for you guys that we're going to translate this to the pitching side, Eric, if you're throwing a changeup, how do you exactly slap your mama with a changeup?
So let's see, grab this Acuball. So instead of trying to get it to go there, when you slap her, you're going to be coming around it over the top, trying to feel like your middle finger is pulling across the ball. But you only get that if you slap her. You don't do it if you like push it away. But you gotta get it there.
That's awesome. So, and that would be showed in the TrackMan, where we would see, the horizontal spin being changed, and then you would get a little bit more horizontal movement in it. And I love that cue. We use it all the time here. It makes all the kids laugh on it. And when you can have fun with ideas and pitches, then I feel like we can, evolve people a little bit more. It's not so serious.
Oh, heads up, Brian.
You know what I mean?
Heads up.
Let's see. Berto's going to slap his mama.
Kind of nasty.
Nice. That's good. That's funny. Okay, cool. Right on. So, all right, now let's go a little bit further on the idea. I understand what we're trying to do here and stuff, and I want to hear it from you guys. To translate things from training to the game, right? Like becoming the killer, the guy that's on the field that's not afraid of anything, that is prepared, right? In your opinion, we'll start with E first, right? How do you translate to get someone to be able to locate that new changeup against a batter?
In game, it's just like it's so hard for kids nowadays with like in game, because they just feel so much pressure from like coaches, and like I was just talking to a kid the other day talking about like what are you supposed to do like when you get on the mound, and the first thing he said was to throw strikes. But it's like, yes, of course, like that is the idea of pitching. Like you are supposed to throw strikes, but it's like he's willing to throw away all the stuff that he's worked on during the week just to get it to that idea of like a strike. Where it's like when you work on it long enough, you should be able to find a way to control it in your own way. And then that way, like we like to say, it's like autopilot. Like you don't even think about it. You just go in the game, grab the ball, do what you've done 1,000 times before, and then just get after it.
Nice. Berto?
Same
question to you.
I like the question. For me, it's all about the mental game, right? Being like mentally confident, knowing what you're doing, knowing what you're thinking about in the game, right? Because in practice in the game, you kind of think about different things, right? Maybe practice, say, on the hit side, yes, you think about mechanical cues, right? When it comes to like T-word, front toss, machine BP, right? You can think about, you have time into controlled settings where you can think about these things, right? But in the game, when there's so many variables, right, you can't be thinking about your mechanics.
Yeah.
Right? But as soon as you step in the box, and if you're thinking about your mechanics, like where your hands are at, where my hips are at, whatever mechanical thing is, then you're not thinking about the baseball, right? And that's ultimately what you got to think about. It's like being able to use all your brain power to focus in on that baseball, right? And that comes with having mental endurance, knowing your thought process, knowing emotional awareness, maybe some anxiety, excitement, some kind, whatever emotional stimulus that you have, being able to control that and zone in your focus, right? Everyone talks about the mental game of baseball, or how baseball is 90% mental, 80%, whatever number you put it, but not a lot of people are training their brains, right? So for one thing, in college, right, that's when I started getting into the mental, the mental game of baseball and stuff like that, really studying that, and that took my game to a whole new level, right? It was how do I translate what I'm doing in practice into the game? And one thing that really helped me with that was reading. Right? I tell all my friends, just whatever baseball people, that need to start reading. That all the best athletes read, and that's literally brain training with it. So what it does, it's think of working out cardio, jogging or running is the most basic form of cardio training. So in my opinion, the most basic form of brain training is reading, because it literally you have to concentrate, you have to process information. What it does, it just improves your attention span, improves your ability to focus, and improves your ability to process information, because that's really what seeing the ball is and hitting is being able to process information really fast, right? Because, you have less than half a second to see the ball, read the spin, make a decision, and take a swing, right? And that all has to do with how fast your brain is processing information. And then, I get this all the time, Berto, you have the best eyes I've ever seen. I mean, same thing with people like Juan Soto, Mike Trout, where their chase rates are really low. And that's because I attribute that to all the brain training I've done to be able to process information faster, right? Yeah, I have I have above average eyes. I have straight up 20/20 vision, which is, standard, right? Which is standard, but I was able to read. I did some brain training games, concentration grids, reaction lights, there's all these little games that help you improve your brain. And that's how I was able to, one, get way better as a hitter, right? And be able to translate stuff into the game and be able to deal with all the ups and downs, all the doubt, all the whatever confidence, whatever it is, and be able to deal with that and kind of move forward.
Yeah, to go a little further on that, for me, especially after my injury and then not playing the game for a while, just literally understanding that the most important part, like Erick said, is not throwing strikes. It's the game of getting someone out, executing an idea. And when you and I battle, I know it's always going to be fun. And that I'm going to be creative and try some different stuff. And I know that that. And sometimes weird things work. You know what I mean? That we try up cutters, and then
that high cutter, high change up, whatever.
Yeah, right. It's just weird. You're just trying weird ideas, and you see that. It's kind of funny. I was thinking about this the other day about there are pitches that are thrown in video games that are just not thrown in real life. And if we can standardize the zone, what's going to happen? Kershaw's 5-foot curveball clipping the top of the zone is going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem, but you're going to get, I never got that pitch, never, ever. But we're literally going to know exactly where the zone is now, which is the weird debate, right? A lot of people don't actually know what the zone. Last night at practice, I asked the kids where the zone is, and one kid was here to there. I'm no one's ever going to call a ball above your letters. It's supposed to be the bottom of the letters to your knees, but even then, that's not even real. It's really your belt to your knees. If they call a ball above your belt, it's an accident. It's not going to be the zone's going to be there. The mask is never a strike, right? And so they don't really get that information. Nobody really talks about it. So, with your experience and then translating that to the hitters that come here, and then, even whether we're doing advanced BP or live at bats, and when you're there, you can see a lot of these kids start to translate the things, which to me it's live at bats, right? We do that on the weekends here. And if kids can understand what those important reps are, throwing one inning in a scrimmage may or may not be, good enough for you, but like getting 40 to 50 pitches in against 5 to 8 batters, like that you can actually try to attack and try different things where there's no anxiety of, if I walk the guy, my coach is going to take me out, or, it's just a game. It's a pickup game. And that less, stressful, low anxiety game is just missing in baseball altogether. I mean, the pickup game, the sandlot game, it's just not there. Everything's just so organized these days. And, I really am happy that we can provide, an option for that for the San Diego area.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's so like same thing on the hitting side. Like you're talking about trying new things and like being able to do that in a setting like this. So it's like the same thing on the hitting side. Like you could try different approaches. You could try, different intents on your swings or what, just whatever, right? Like, okay, maybe this at bat, I'm gonna sit on curveball. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you kind of need that, like in your back pocket. Right? Like, oh, this guy's throwing mostly curveballs. Maybe his fastball stinks or he can't locate his fastball, right? But his curveball's pretty good and he can locate that whenever. So it's like, okay, he's going to throw mostly that, right? So if you're sitting on a fastball, right, most hitters want fastballs, right? Which is, makes sense, right? But if he's not going to throw you a fastball, right, he's going to throw you 4, 5, 6 curveballs, like why are you waiting for that one fastball that might not even be there, right? When he's trying to attack the zone and he decides that his curveball is what he can get in the zone. So like, okay, that's going to like being able to sit on that pitch and have confidence in letting the fastball go, because that might be the only fastball you get. Now you're going to get 2, 3 curveballs. The chances of him hanging one or leaving one in the zone, like you have way higher chances of that, and you got to be able to hit that. So, one way I learned, in college, I faced a lot of lefty specialists. Right, and I'm gonna use a MLB The Show reference, and it's like, we had a lefty specialist in college, and the way I figured out how to hit him is that our catcher told me is that when I put down the number 1, he's throwing slider, right? Because he's a lefty, kind of threw from like right here, right? It's like, oh, okay, so the one pitch, right, that's what he's gonna throw the most, so I'm gonna sit on that, right? And then I was able to pick up sliders, right? I wasn't too worried about the fastball, right? Yeah, maybe he threw me 1 or 2, right? Gave him a free strike. Whatever, but then I just knew he was going to come back with more sliders, so I'm just going to wait for that hanger, and then I'm going to hit that. And so it turned out like, okay, when I was able to practice that, because we were able to do live at-bat settings and like that, so I took those very seriously, tried out new approaches, and especially off lefties for me. If I knew, like, okay, they're bringing in like a poopy lefty to face me, right? Okay, he's probably going to give me sliders, right? If they're bringing in a lefty just for the lefty. So I had a couple I've had a couple like games or at bats where I told the guy on deck, I'm waiting for the warm up. I was like, look, watch, he's gonna hang me a slider, he's gonna throw me a slider first pitch, I'm gonna bang it, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, that's your the strategy of the game, your history of understanding how many times you've done this and stuff, and we see that all the time. I mean, you've seen me. I love getting high school or college kids that are new into live at bats against me, because they just haven't. They have the same strategy, just like you said. You know what I mean? I mean, until you face a guy that has 7, 8 pitches and can throw them all for a strike, you have to think about those different shapes, those speeds, the heights, the sequences. Like, it just adds a variability, what I call the delay. If I can delay your decision process, like you said, you have half a second, and if I can make it 0.6, you're done. You're going to be late. You're not going to square it up, right? Either you're going to blow it by you or you're going to foul it off. And so, like, just being able to change those timing ideas of like literally the time, like the heater comes in at 0.38, the curveball comes in at 0.65, right? Like that's a tremendous difference, right? And we're just talking about miles per hour. For the people who don't understand, like miles per hour is actually measured in time, right? So it is what it is. So, okay. So last topic I want to get to, another hybrid idea that we offer here. And I'll start with Berto this time. Advanced BP is something that is a little program that we run here that I find very, very fun. I throw on Wednesday nights. We have a rotation of guys that throw on Friday nights. But as a hitter, right? Someone that, just like you said, like if you could see a lefty that threw X number of spinners in a row and you knew it was going to be in the zone and you knew it was going to be sharp, how does that affect a hitter's mind? How's that going to benefit them?
Okay, yeah, I like that, because like I really love the advanced BP stuff, and it's like this is like the next level of hitting training, right? Because like
can you break it down? Can you break it down to like how we do it so people can hear from like what the plan is, and so they understand what advanced BP is?
Yep. So advanced BP is for like hitters who have like like talked about, like once your swing gets to a certain point, like it's good enough and it can play. Right now, it's like how can we sit on different pitches or recognize different pitches, right? It's not like I always talk about like the number one rule of hitting in games, even in practice, but mostly in games, is swinging at strikes, right? Seems pretty obvious, seems pretty simple, but people don't take it to heart or really take it as seriously or realize how important swinging at strikes are, right? So a lot of hitters, they'll be like, or, you know, especially with younger pitchers or younger hitters, younger guys, it's like, oh, if they miss a ball, it's like, oh, you pulled your head, you pulled your front shoulder or whatever it is, you dropped your hands. It's like, no, you swung at a ball in the dirt. You know what I mean? So, like, that's like rule number one. And with advanced BP and stuff like that, that's when we start going like, all right, swing training is done. Now it's time to learn how to hit or practice hitting, right? So, and then what we do is BP was like, yeah, we warm them up, give them around the fastballs, and then this is where we can really have a controlled environment to work on stuff like, all right, the fastball curveball mix, all right, fastball slider mix, fastball changeup mix, and I really like just pairing everything, because if you just work on like, all right, I'm just gonna throw you curveballs, that's like the same thing as like I'm just gonna throw you fastballs, right? It's different when you have different pitches coming in, right? So say a round of, all right, this round I'm throwing fastballs and curveballs, right? That's seeing how well you can sit on the fastball and adjust to off speed or react to off speed, and be able to spit on the ones that are out of the zone, right? Because I saw a lot of kids, once I start throwing them curveballs, they start swinging balls in the dirt. They're late on fastballs. They're chasing pitches, and like that's what I'm trying to work on. So I'm trying to work on how well they can swing at strikes, how well they can be on time, and how well can they get their A swing off with good intent to do damage, right? I'm not worried about their swing mechanics, right? Now, if they check all those three boxes, right, they swing at a strike, they're on time for the most part, and they took a really good swing with high intent, right, and they're still missing, like, okay, now maybe something mechanical, and then we could change that. But usually if you do those three things, you give yourself the best chance to barrel with the baseball. And that's what advanced BP is all about. Like, how well can I hit your curveball? How well can I spin on that? How well can I recognize that and take a good swing?
Yeah, love that. Love that from the pitching side. Erick, same question to you, but from where you see it, because you throw like I do, and I know you see different things as well.
I think it's just good for kids in general, like Berto's saying. It's just being able to use advanced VP as a form of like in-game training without having to be stressed about the game. But it's just like pitch recognition, you know, swing decisions and things like that. But from a pitching standpoint, for me, it's a little bit different just because obviously I don't play anymore, but just being able to like still being able to keep that eye out for like, you know, weak spots and people's swings, and like being able to kind of like expose it to a point to where like they have to make that change in their approach or whatever. Because if a good pitcher or somebody like John were to be actually pitching in a game, like they would just expose that, like they would just utilize that to a max, and like you would just never get that opportunity, like Berto's saying, to get your A swinging off, be on time, be on this, right? But if you don't practice it enough, like it's just going to be a challenge the entire time. But if you've done it, say 300 swings, 400 swings, 500 swings, whatever it is, and be put in that same situation, like you just give yourself a higher chance to, you know, get a hit or get your A swing off and things like that. So I think it's very good for the hitters.
Yeah, zone awareness, I feel like, is something that's very, very important. Berto touched on it a little earlier. And you know, Erick, your mind ability to throw multiple pitches in the zone, be down in the corner, you know, having the hit tracks there and showing where the strike zone is and trying to, like, put it, you know, paint it, really, just paint it, you know, so they can figure out what it is. You know, I think that really helps their eyes. And we talk about it, you know, all the time, where it's like, you know, we'll do, like what Berto said, we'll do a fast, slow, alternating a fastball slider or a fastball curveball, and then the kid it'll take him 3 or 4 to kind of figure it out. Because just like on the pitching side, being able to go fastball, curveball, that it takes a little skill to be to locate both those ideas. But also on the hitter, the timing change, you know, takes a big difference, as well as like, is that curveball going to be a strike? I mean, I have a big curveball, and so I'm normally above the zone, in the zone, and sometimes it goes below the zone. Right, so be able to track that all the way to the thing really helps them translate those ideas into the game. And when you do it on like a Friday night, as what you said, like literally preparing for what's going to happen the next day, it's just tremendous for your eyes and your brain. You know, and so I can't recommend it enough. If you have some time, jump in Friday night, 7 p.m., and come see some spinners. You know, you're going to see higher spin rate than what you're used to seeing at the level that you are, which once again will slow. That's how you slow the game down. Like slowing the game down is being comfortable in the deep end against somebody that's trying to blow you up, So, okay. Well, guys, this has been awesome. I appreciate your time on there. I'm really glad that everybody got to hear you guys talk about your favorite parts here. Leave me with one little thing that, we all have different directions on where we look at and stuff. E, we'll start off with you, but give me one little thing that, when kids come in here, that you try to give them information. Like I'm always trying to gift kids with a cutter or an idea there, and inspire someone with something.
I think for me, it's just being able to let them feel like they can dominate wherever they are. Like just being able to utilize your skill set like the best way possible, and just being able to know that like if you just do like we try and tell all our kids, it's like you just got to throw it. Like you just have to do it. Like there's no thinking, there's no like you just can't give yourself that time to like even put like negative thoughts into your brain or like anything like that. But just being able to like, so what? Fastball did not go where I wanted, or like I spiked it, or I did this, but it's just like, all right, let's go next pitch. Like there's still like that whole process of the game that like you have to think about. Like it can't just be result based. Like it has to just be like strategy based of like, I'm going to do this. And if it doesn't work, then we're going back to the drawing board. But it's like, you cannot just give up because it didn't go your way. So like just being able to just always being able to do it, like just get after it.
Yeah, strategy. I love that. I'll do a little football reference, especially with my Florida State Seminoles, who have not been this far into the season undefeated in like 25 years. It's hilarious. We have a 6'7" receiver that's transferred in the portal from Arizona, and we were on like the 2-yard line against Louisville, and we ran 3 balls up the middle, and it did nothing. And then on the 4th down, we threw a little fade on and he jumped up and caught it. It was a no-brainer, right? Like strategy. That's just strategy. Utilize, like you're saying. If you've got a wipeout slider and you can locate it, there's definitely no reason that you don't throw it to every hitter. So, yeah, perfect. Good job. Berto, what about you?
Bro, okay, I got something. So what I can leave you with is, for anyone watching here, or for anyone who's going to watch this podcast later, it's like I'm going to give you some insight on how to hit off John Sintez. Right, how to catch a barrel off him, how to hit a bomb off him, because he does dice up a lot of people. He is very good. So, and then everyone comes in and is like, "Oh, John's so nasty." So, like, which he is. But like, when you're in a hitter, like, nah, you like, dude, like, you hear me. I know John hears me, especially during live. Man, John freaking stinks. You can't go in there. You guys are giving him
yeah. Don't
John
give it to me.
He's gonna
Don't give me the belt.
Yeah, give me that fastball, whatever. Give me a hanging cutter, whatever, hanging curveball. Yeah, his stuff is gross, right? But there's a way to hit it. So what I'm gonna say is like the strategy I go into where to face off John is see the ball up, right? Because no matter what he throws, like we'll mostly I'm sitting fastball up, right? That way I can catch up to any single fastball, right? And then I can adjust to his off speed, because no matter what off speed he's throwing, they all go down to a certain point. They all move down, right? Curveball, slider, cutter, changeup, they all move down, right? So if you're sitting fastball up and then you recognize spin, and it's up, those are the ones I can swing at. And those are the ones I can do that. And that way I can still be on time with the fastball. I can still get on top of fastballs, right? I can just top down, right? And then so if I see spin up or shape up, especially like, inside sometimes with the lighting and stuff like that, people complain about not being able to see spin, right? Okay, yeah, to a certain point, it is a little harder, right? Sometimes, but you're not always going to be able to see the ball well, whatever. You might have a weird backdrop, right? Whatever. Not everyone plays in the bigs where they have a perfect batter's eye and clean baseballs, right? But you can see shape, right? So if I see something up like this, right, and it's going and it's up in the zone, all right, I can take a swing at that, right? And that's like how I can adjust one. And then he always talked about like he gets guys chasing sliders or cutters in the dirt, and then he always asks me, he's like, "Oh, how'd you take that?" I was like, "Well, I saw it. I was able to recognize it, and then that curveball started middle, cutter started middle down. I'm like, all right, I don't want to swing at that. And whether it ends up a strike with less than 2 strikes, whatever, I don't want to swing at that anyway, right? I'm waiting for the mistakes, because everyone's human. He's gonna make a mistake. He's gonna leave one over the plate, and those are the ones I want to crush.
I love that. I love that strategy. So that's just an example of strategy, right? You could take that same thing off of Verlander, or you could take that same thing off of Garrett Cole. Like these spin rate guys that locate and do those things, it's very important that, just like Erick said, like if you go out and try strategy and you get smacked, like that was the wrong strategy. That was not your mechanics. Like let's just bang that right now, okay? And that's what we're trying to tell everybody. There are other levels to this game. Once you have created a consistent motion, which by the way, not that hard to do. We do it all the time here, right? The hard part is believing that you're doing it right, and then you can execute whatever idea you're trying to do, right? Like, on Berto, like, same thing. Like, I know Berto sits heater, right? And so I got to kind of try to see if I can play with him and get him in swing mode in that thing. If I can get him in swing mode, then I can get him to chase something. We talked about it before. I tried to throw a Mariano Rivera up cutter up and in on him, and I threw one and he saw spin and it didn't go down. You know,
it didn't go down.
We joke about it. Yeah. So like that. Right. Exactly. And so like, that's just experimentation, guys. That's all that is, right? Like, that idea came in my head where almost like, you know, in the library of games that I've watched, where I'm like, okay, I have not struck this guy out in a long time, right? And he is prepared for almost everything that I throw. What can I try to throw that he has not seen? I was like, well, I haven't thrown an up cutter yet, so let's see what we can do. You know, and so like, those are just things that you have to, as a pitcher, understand what your own arsenal is and what it's capable of, so then you can execute from there. Awesome. Well, guys, Erick, Berto, I appreciate your time. This went out really well. I'm glad everybody got to hear your perspective on things. You know, it's important because all of our personalities, you know, really help people understand what our experiences are. So thank you for all those nuggets. Thank you for the time here. Once again, go check out the website for the glove. We got hats, shirts, all kinds of great stuff. We're trying to make some cool stuff. I mean, I really like our hats. You know, our performance shirts are really cool. We should have some different colors and stuff coming out soon. But, you know, as always, you know, you can help us with subscribing to our podcast or subscribing to our YouTube channel as well there. So thank you, guys. Have a good one.
See ya.